Hey, you are here. Hi, I am Shanishta and this is Her Endless TBR. Welcome to my channel where I talk about my favorite books, my TBR list, my book recommendation, and many more such things related to books because I love books a lot. And if you are like me, then we are kindred spirit. And it's your duty to subscribe to my channel. No, it's not your duty, but if you want to, please do subscribe. Okay. I have read 16 books in total in the course of last 2 months, and I'm really excited to talk about all of them. But 8 of them were in Bengali, and I'm not going to talk about them here because I have already made a video on that in my Bengali channel. If you are interested, if you are a Bengali, then please go to that channel and watch that video. I'll provide the link of my other channel in the description box. Please check them out. If you decide to read any of these books and buy any of them, please do consider to check the description box where I put my Amazon affiliate links. If you buy your books through those links, I will get a tiny bit commission that will help me to grow and make more contents. So thank you in advance. So let's talk about some books, baby, because I have a lot to talk about. Because the books I read in these 2 months were mixed bags. Some of them I really love. Some of them, okay, I don't know where I stand about those books. So the good news is I didn't hate any of them. So yeah, I am becoming a pretty boring person who loves every book they pick. And I'm okay with that. Maybe sometimes that happens. You just pick the right book. I got lucky, I would say. So let's talk about the books I read. The first book here is Mahek Sharma's Lowell Kashmir, and it's a collection of real life stories of the civilians of Kashmir. And the theme of the book is love, longing, and yearning for your loved ones in a volatile geographical area where the political situation is really, really difficult and it's violent. And I think this book is really, really relevant in the current scenario with all those things going on with India and Pakistan's conflict over Kashmir. I think we should remember our empathy. At as common people, all we can do is pray for peace and harmony and empathy for our country. And in this book, you will get to see all these innocent souls who are just trying to reach out for their loved ones, trying to keep the loved ones safe. And sometimes they're just wanting to get married in 3 months, but they can't because of the situation. And anytime something happens politically, the internet gets shut down and they lose all the connection with the rest of the world. And nobody can reach out to them and they can't reach out to anyone. In this scenario, they're just stuck. And it's going on for ages, for generations. They are seeing this situation of surveillance, army invasion, and militant attacks. And they are also the victims, but they are considered as the suspect as well. So the situation is not human, and all we can do is feel empathy and spread our humanity towards these souls who are just trying to live their life like a normal human being, but nothing is normal there. And this book speaks about love. This book tells you very simple and heartwarming stories. Sometimes some of the stories are so heart wrenching. It made me cry. It made me think about the condition people are in, and nothing is imaginary. It's actually the reality of the land. We sometimes generalize the community, the people of the land, form our notion of that place. But if we actually see the complexity and if we actually put our feet on their shoes, we will understand that they are also suffering here. You need to hear their voice, you need to read books from that place to understand that they are also like us. They are just in a situation that has nothing. to do with their individual choices. They are devoid of basic human rights because of the political situation. It's sad. I think everybody should read this book, and this book is divided into three parts. In the beginning, we see the stories from the people who witnessed 1947's partition, and then we move to 1971's Kargil period where the attacks happened, and then we come to the present time when Article 370 got abrogated and when the lockdown hit the world, how they cope up with that situation, because the lockdown just added to their sufferings. It was not like something that we were going through. They had added pressure and restrictions in their life. It became the normalized part of their lives, which is so messed up. I think the more we learn about such stories, the more we will feel for them and more we will understand and try to help each other out. So instead of pointing out them as the other, we should feel that helplessness and the love and the yearning of souls who are just like you and me. Beautiful, beautiful book. I just rated it 5 stars. I'm so glad to discover this one. My next read was a graphic novel. It's a simple, short graphic novel called Zardozi. It's by Debasmita Dasgupta. She's the artist and the writer, and it is edited by Rajat Mittal. Let me first tell you how beautiful the artwork is because it's gorgeous. There is a soothing green tone, dark green, mossy green tone that makes this book so attractive, and the artwork is beautiful and the story is so heartwarming. So, let me explain the story to you. It's about Z. He is from a very well-to-do family. He is loved and he's a small boy with a lot of hopes and aspirations. And one of the biggest hope and aspiration he has is about embroidery. He loves to do embroidery. In this book, Devasmita Dasgupta simplifies the notion of gender bias and gender binary, and the simplification of the concept actually makes you understand and appreciate the characters here. And if you want to discuss this subject with your kid or with someone who is just growing up, I think this book can really be helpful for them and for you also to start that conversation around gender bias, how we as men and women are seen to do different jobs, to pursue different career. This book shows you how cultural art has being discriminated in the basis of gender, which is so disastrous for the humanity and the society because it just stops a very talented individual to grow if that person is interested in something like embroidery or artwork or something that is seen as girl or vice versa, something that is seen as a job of a man like a sport. And if you are actually discouraging a girl to pursue her passion in sports because it's manly, it's disturbing. And it boils your blood to think about it seriously. But when it is done in such a poignant and beautiful way, you just actually take your time and think about it and understand this boy's point of view. And it was beautiful. The characters were beautiful. When Z's grandma comes, she actually becomes this inspiration for him and she encourages him to do embroidery and show his talent shine. He just brought a big smile on my face when I ended this story. I loved the styles of this book. I think this type of books will teach kids to express their opinions, to express their individuality, to embrace their authenticity and just be themselves. And when we look at this world, how patriarchal thought process, how patriarchal structure has messed up with the young mind, and how everything we see through the lens of patriarchy becomes so stigmatized, and it just puts individual in different boxes that were never meant to be their place. I just appreciate books like these more, which try to begin the conversation in the sweetest way possible. Now, I have another short story collection that I have finished in March, and it's called Paradise and Other Stories. It's written by Khushwant Singh, and oh my god, this book will just hit you on your head so strongly that you will feel like you have lost your senses, because he just attacks you like a wolf. And all the stories are based on the theme of superstitions and hypocrisy and the religious beliefs of average Indian people. And he mocks these characters, these stereotypical characters who are very religious, who are very superstitious, and their a constant notion of morality is questioned in every story. And there is one particular story that I loved the most. It's about this man who is very proud of his Brahmanical origin and who is very well educated. He hates anything that comes from the Western part of the world. He reads a lot of religious scriptures in Sanskrit, like Vedas and the the epic, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and everything. And he considers himself to be a very wise and knowledgeable person. And he wanted a wife that is submissive. His concept of timid women he has read in his scriptures, written by men, by the way. And when he is married, he is so oblivious of the fact that women bodies are different. It just gets so hilarious from that point that you start feeling pity for this character. He is just so inadequate as human being. Kushwant Singh will make you feel pity for him, and with zero practical knowledge, with zero knowledge in biology, he's just trying to figure out his wife with this ancient text written by men. It's called Life's Horoscope. You have to find this story. And the other stories are also based on the similar theme. I loved his bold voice. It's not easy to question religious practice or culture because people are very sensitive about it. And what I love about this collection is he doesn't give you his opinion. It feels like he is actually spitting out facts, but in doing so, he is subtly making fun of his characters, which you don't realize in the beginning. But you start understanding the tone of this dark satire when you are going through with the writing. It's good, it's intelligent, and it's a kind of humor that I enjoy and that I try to incorporate in my conversation as well. I don't want to give any opinions or what I think in that type of narration. I just love to point out the fact and I just leave it there and I wait for you to pick up the humor. That's the sort of thing I also try to do. I will never be able to do that in such a brilliant and sharp way, but I will try my best. And this just inspired me so much. And it's not for everyone though. It's very raw, it's raunchy, it's out there, and the description is visual, it's graphic, so some of it may disgusting, and which is the purpose of this book. So yeah, I just discovered Kushwant Singh's talent of writing biting satire, and I was living under the rock until then. I read a romance and I gave it 5 stars. It doesn't occur often. And why it doesn't occur often is because I don't pick up the right book. God damn it, I don't. And now I did pick up the right book and I loved it from the bottom of my heart. I'm talking about Emily Henry's funny story. Oh my god. Make a crown of the greatest romance writer and the greatest chemistry writer and give it to Emily Henry because she has done something that I was craving in romance books, the contemporary romance books, so badly that I have given up all the hopes and I thought that romance is not for me. But she kind of converted me. Because this is everything that I love about a romance book, where characters grow, where people just don't chase each other. They just chase romance, and they are not cheesy. They have real life issues, they have real life problems, they have character flaws. And when they come together, they sort themselves and they sort the relationship. It's so brilliantly done by Emily Henry. I am just waiting to read all of her work because, oh my God, the yearning in this book is so good, so good. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against spice. I don't like spice that much. I don't mind them, but sometimes I don't like if the spice is thrown at me and it just becomes smart, which I don't enjoy. I think the greatest chemistry you can ever write between a character is by putting the two characters in a room, in the opposite corner of the room, make them have a eye contact. And that eye contact, baby, is better than any spicy scene that you have ever read, because that sort of energy, that sort of sexual tension is something that I love in romance. Most of the time when I read a contemporary romance where the characters are just throwing themselves at each other, it just doesn't make me feel anything. I have nothing against you if you read smart, if you love smart, good for you. Do it. Read anything that makes you happy. But for me, what I was looking for, I have found the perfect blend of, you know, sensuality and connection and bonding and chemistry and love and yearning. Everything is so well cooked in this book that it just won my heart. I just felt like I was watching a good rom-com. So, oh my God. I am so grateful that I discovered Emily Henry. She is very famous in the world of romance, but I was like a bit skeptical, I would say. I was like, I have read many romance which was so popular, but it felt short for me. It felt overhyped. So I was skeptical. But my heart is filled with joy and love, and I just want to see a movie adaptation, a good movie adaptation of this book. Do it right now, Netflix. Do it. The FMC and the MMC in this book are so adorable and so relatable. They are in the very odd situation. It's very weird. They're living as roommates in this flat. Both of their partners were best friends from their childhood. And 2 days before their marriage, the guy decided that he actually loves his best friend. What a move, man. Slow clap. And then he leaves her before their wedding and runs away with his best friend slash lover, the love of his life. Now, with both of their partners gone, they have to live together in this flat because she has no place to live and they don't know each other that much. It's just the common heartbreak that connects them. Other than that, they know nothing about each other and how they sort of find solace and will to live. It has friends to lover trope and fake dating trope, both of them. But what I love about this book is the book doesn't lean too much on the trope. It just flows freely. I just loved it. Then I finished a very popular fiction. I saw it all over the Bookstagram. And when I was looking for a book recommendation, a particular specific book recommendation, I was recommended this book on Reddit. It is My Year in Rest and Relaxation by Odessa Moshfegh. And, and I'm really confused about, and I'm really confused how I feel about this book. I will try to explain myself as much as possible. Well, I have ended up giving it 4 stars. I liked the narrative style of this book, but I didn't specifically like this character. So, why did I rate this so high if I didn't like the character? Because I think that was the intention of the author, to make her as unlikable as possible. So, we are following this woman who has decided to leave everything, and she has decided to sleep for almost a year. So, trigger warning, if you are sensitive to self destruction, self medication, don't read it. And She goes to the psychiatrist and she lies about her symptoms and takes a lot of counter reactive medicines to sleep, and that kind of messes up with her head, and she pretends to be this apathetic person who has no feelings for others, and she just doesn't care about others, but deep inside she is a good person, and that is why in her sleepwalking episode she finds herself in the oddest places. I loved the episodes where she sleepwalks and goes to somewhere completely unpredictable and does something completely unpredictable even to her. I love the fact that she's very blunt. Sometimes she says things that you don't even think in your head because it's not nice. She is not nice at all. Which I don't have any problem, but I just wanted the ending to be a little bit more than what it was. I don't know how to rightly emphasize the more in this statement, but I just wanted her to be someone better, which I think is an unrealistic hope as a reader because the tone of the book was very realistic and it was not going for a salvation journey, which I understand. It is one of those books you either hate it or love it. I don't know how I find myself in between. I am just confused, but I am in between. I don't know whether I hate it or whether I love it, but yeah, it was an interesting read. Maybe 10 years from today, I will understand what I feel about this book, but right now, I don't know. Next up, I have Agatha Christie's By the Pricking of My Thumbs. Well, this was my first Agatha Christie of this year, and I am a bit disappointed with this book because when I heard about this book, when I read the blurb, I was really excited because it is very different from her other mystery books, which feature Poirot or Miss Marple. It's Tommy and Tuppence mystery. They are married couple, and now they are in their 60s. They are old. They are retired, and they go to visit their aunt in this nursing home come old age home. But Tuppence feels there is something wrong with the place, and she tries to investigate it, and in the meantime the aunt dies, and it's just information heavy. That was the primary weakness of this book. um, a lot of expositions were thrown and a lot of backstories were told to make the reader understand what's going on, and so many things were going on, it became a hodgepodge, and that kind of distracted me from understanding what I am actually following, what is the mystery, what the solution is going to be, because I was not rooting for any solution to woman, and it did feel like an old woman is just bored of her normal life, which was the notion she wanted to give us to misguide us. But more I read about what was going on, the more I felt that that is the truth. The misguide is actually the truth. She is bored. The character is bored. And the description of Macabre and the haunting houses and this gothic nursing home, it's very similar to Edgar Allan Poe's style and atmospheric writing. But um, I think the plot fell short for me. I was expecting a tightly knitted plot, which was not here. And it was very disappointing to say that because Agatha Christie is master of drama and plot, and she never fails to intrigue me with her plot. And by the time we reach the reveal, we were so bored. We were really bored. The only thing that I appreciate about this book is in her other mysteries, she always focuses on the motive of the murderer. She always says that a murderer is more likely to have a motive than to be a psychopath with a fascination to kill. But here we are actually introduced to some concepts where uh, someone can be wrong in their notion of good and bad, and they can be borderline psychopaths to enjoy murdering, which I was not expecting from her, because in most of her books, she has actually defended the concept of murdering with motive, rather than focusing on a mindless killer who just enjoys murdering people. But in this book, when we are listening to all the stories, it feels like we are probably looking for someone who is sick in his head. So yeah, that is the difference I have found, and it fascinated me. But the book in general, um, I feel had so much potential if we just focused on one particular kind of crime. It just went all over the places. I would rate it 2.5 stars, which is really low for Agatha Christie. I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan, but yeah, this was not the OG Agatha Christie book. You can skip it if you are looking for the Agatha Christie flavor. There are so many better books of Agatha Christie than this one. Sorry. The last English book of this list is another audiobook, and I am so in love with this book. I have to control myself from gushing about this book to you. I'm talking about the Motherboard series, and I read the first book, All Systems Red by Martha Wells. Oh my god. You have to stop me from gushing about this book, because if I start talking about this book and if I start telling you how much I love this book, a day will not be enough, because I freaking love the book, and this turned me into a sci-fi lover. This converted me into a sci-fi reader. It's a big deal. Science description freaks me out in fiction, and that's why I stay away from sci-fi. But when it is done in this way, I just can't stop myself from laughing it and from just waiting to read the rest of the series, because it's so good. I have never thought I will love a character so much who is partly robot and partly human being. It is a sec unit. It calls itself Motherboard, and it is provided by these corporate companies to the scientists to do very dangerous planets for their research. And it's like a security robot who tries to protect you. And they are very powerful. They have human face. They have organs of human beings. They can imagine, they can think, they can feel, and they have robotic powers as well. And this sec unit Motherboard has hacked into his governor module, and it is now rogue. Like, it is not controlled by anyone. It controls itself, and it can decide for itself. And it loves watching hours of TV, of web series content. It's like me. And so many of us are like him. Its voice is so funny, hilarious, and relatable. You will forget that you are actually listening to something, not a person. It's better than many human beings I know in real life. That's how good it is. All the other characters, the human characters in this book, are so good. They are diverse, which is such a great representation, and they are just good people who try to treat Motherboard as a person. That icks it so much that makes it uncomfortable, because it doesn't consider its human ability to love or feel a quality. It feels like it's weakness, which is so fun to read. It's written in the first person narrative. And if you are like me, who thinks that sci-fi is not your cup of tea, please, I beg you, read the Motherboard series. Your notion will be changed forever. And they are short novellas, so it won't take much time. And I will really urge you to pick up the dramatized version by Audible. It's so good. It will make you feel like you are in this movie world. And the good news is Apple is coming with the Motherboard series. And I just watched the trailer and I loved it. It just synced with my imagination. I just felt that the representation of the characters and the Motherboard's voice, the acting, and the overall tone of the series looks very similar to the book, which is often not the case. So I am really eager to watch that series as well. But before that, I want to finish the entire series. It's so good. And if I talk about how the corporate system is introduced in this book, it's very similar to the series The Boys. If you have watched The Boys on Prime, you will know that the way the superheroes are built, and they are kind of this phase of the modern society, and all of them are controlled by this corporate company vote. It's very similar to that system, but it's different in many ways, but the corporate system is very similar. So it is also questioning the corporate culture of our world, and also questioning the humanity. You are missing on a lot of fun if you are not reading Matterport series. That's all I can say. So my March April wrap up is finally over, and I can't wait to read so many other books from my TBR list. If you love this video, please let me know in the comment section, and I will come up with more interesting books and book recommendations, and I will just talk to you, because this is one of the most entertaining things of my life, talking to you about books. Tada. See you soon.